The Secret to Nirvana in One Lifetime of Vajrayana. Welcome back everyone to Mind Podcast. Why do Buddhist masters often teach extensively about Zen and Pure Land Buddhism, but not about Vajrayana? Does this mean that Vajrayana does not lead to liberation and enlightenment? If one practices Vajrayana, how can they avoid falling into the trap of false paths or heresy? The images and forms of Vajrayana disciples are often seen in the mudra, sacred hand gestures, posture, chanting mantras, or performing what seem to be forbidden rituals. Is this truly appropriate, and does it really help us reach the state of nirvana? Today, let us explore the true nature of Tibetan Vajrayana, also known as the diamond vehicle, Vajrayana. Among the methods that the Buddha taught for sentient beings to follow in their practice during the degenerate age, each tradition has its own supreme and profound principles. For example, the Pure Land School's principle is to ensure rebirth in the Pure Land in one lifetime without regression. Zen Buddhism focuses on directly pointing to the mind, seeing one's Buddha nature, and attaining Buddhahood. The Huayan School focuses on transcending the mundane world and entering the Dharma realm. Vajrayana's core principle is the union of the three secrets, which leads to becoming a Buddha in one body. These three secrets are the secret of body, secret of speech, and secret of mind. First, we need to affirm that, although there are many different methods of practice that the Buddha taught, each with different principles, they all lead to the same ultimate goal: liberation from the cycle of birth and death, and attaining nirvana. Vajrayana is one of the schools of Buddhism that originated in India around the 7th century and was later transmitted to China, Japan, and especially flourished in Tibet. Tibetan Vajrayana, also known as the diamond vehicle, is likened to a steep, direct path to the summit of a mountain. This analogy highlights both the superior and swift nature of the practice, as well as the challenges and dangers associated with this method of Vajrayana practice. The development history of Vajrayana has sometimes veered off course from the path of liberation as intended by Buddhist ideals due to the appearance of magical rituals and sorcery. These deviations have severely damaged the reputation of Vajrayana. However, thanks to the efforts of Tibetan masters in spreading Vajrayana, the true meaning of this tradition has been clarified. Vajrayana, or the diamond vehicle, is a special path to liberation within progressive Buddhism. As previously mentioned, the principles of Vajrayana are the three secrets: secret of body, secret of speech, and secret of mind. To harness the energy of the universe or spiritual energy, one must correctly practice the rituals of body, speech, and mind. The body is involved through gestures, particularly the hands, which accompany the chanting of mantras, creating a suitable spiritual attitude. The mouth chants the mantras, which are sacred sounds that stir the inner world of the practitioner. The mind visualizes the mandala, unifying everything into the three secrets of the Buddha. This combination of transcendental teachings with the mandala forms a unique integration, in which the universe, the world, humanity, and all things are viewed as sacred. For a Vajrayana practitioner, this represents the relationship between spirit and matter, between human beings and the universe, filled with boundless energy. The symbols of Vajrayana are often misunderstood and criticized. However, once one dives deep into the ocean of the mind, the true function and meaning of these symbols become clear. They are the means of expressing the deepest spiritual experiences of the practitioner. The philosophy and practice of Vajrayana still follow the process of morality, sila, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, prajna, just like all other Buddhist paths. It has strong ties to both Theravada and Mahayana teachings. The difference lies in the method used to realize emptiness and non-self. Vajrayana uses mystical methods as a means to enlightenment. The development of Buddhism has created various schools and different methods of practice. Any method that leads to faith, removes inner obstacles, and helps the mind realize ultimate liberation is permitted for use. Vajrayana as a means to liberation. Vajrayana is one of the methods that can lead to liberation. To become a practitioner of the diamond vehicle, Vajrayana, one must often employ various practices to purify the three karmic activities: body, speech, and mind, transforming them into the body, speech, and mind of a Buddha. On the journey of taming the mind and becoming the Dharma body of a Buddha, the practitioner must experience Vajrayana teachings directly transmitted by a qualified teacher. Vajrayana has 4 key attributes. 1. Yogic practice of thoroughly purifying the surrounding environment. 2. Yogic practice of thoroughly purifying the physical body. 3. Thorough purification of all feelings and sensations. 4. Yogic practice of thoroughly purifying all actions. Any teaching that includes these 4 purifications belongs to Vajrayana. 500 years after the Buddha entered Nirvana, we see that the structure of cause and effect, including the structure of our own stream of consciousness, has significantly weakened. We are now in the degenerate age, Kali Yuga, which makes it even more difficult for practitioners to embark on the path of liberation. Therefore, Vajrayana uses anything that a person can integrate into their body and mind to move toward liberation. This aligns with a famous saying, if a person has fallen to the ground, they must use the ground itself to stand up. This saying emphasizes the method, technique, and practical means that characterize Vajrayana. Much of the debate surrounding Vajrayana today focuses on the consort practices, sexual yoga. The image of a Buddha embracing a consort is often seen as inappropriate and contradictory to the Buddha's teachings, even being labeled as a form of moral corruption. Some teachers even interpret Vajrayana as a licentious practice. According to Vajrayana, all beings in the desire realm are made up of coarse material elements, and desire always exists within us. Those from the form realm and beyond do not have such desires because their bodies are composed of purer and subtler elements compared to ours. The artistic expression, whether through drawings or sculptures, serves to illustrate that to transform the 5 aggregates and this impure world into enlightenment, practitioners must transcend the challenging limits of desire. The Buddha said that the greatest flaw of sentient beings is ignorance and attachment. They live day and night in attachment and cannot let go. If one can transform lustful desires into mindfulness of the Buddha's teachings and practice every hour and every minute without forgetting, they will quickly attain Buddhahood. A Lama also said that the Dharma body is very subtle, pure, and free from lustful desires. The subtlety and purity of a bodhisattva's body are even more refined and pure than the body of an invisible being. Thus, the consort image of the deities naturally has no trace of desire left. We often have a habit of looking at Buddha statues with the eyes of an ordinary person, which is entirely mistaken when saying, this male deity is united with this female deity. However, if you observe the statue with the vision of a meditator, you will see something completely different. The Buddha in the statue is entirely in a meditative posture, with no attention paid to the female figure in the image. The female figure and the posture that seems like an embrace only symbolize the blissful state of meditation. Anyone who has meditated deeply and entered concentration will understand the joy found in the meditative realm, when hormones are released that create a feeling of euphoria after the body reaches a state of complete relaxation. The statue also serves to show all beings that when they practice, they are still heavily influenced by past karma. Deep in their consciousness, attachment karma has not yet been severed because wisdom has not yet fully replaced ignorance. This external depiction of the mind reflects what remains within. Instead of avoiding it, why not face it to dissolve and treat the root cause? Attachment karma drives us through the cycle of birth and death. Just like someone who has fallen to the ground must use the ground to stand up, Buddhism is here to be practiced, not merely admired or judged. Additionally, the cultural origin of the image of the Buddha embracing a female figure is also tied to philosophical perspectives. In yin, there is yang, and in yang, there is yin. Every person has both yin and yang within them. This unusual Buddha statue also expresses that yin-yang philosophy. The sexual relationship between male and female has always been a part of ancient Eastern philosophy. It reflects the harmony of yin and yang. When yin and yang are united, the human body reaches a state of health and clarity. The practices of Vajrayana Buddhism are the result of combining Mahayana Buddhism with 2 ancient traditions, yoga and tantra. Yoga and tantric practices were traditionally practiced separately, but Tibetan Buddhism merged and intertwined them, creating powerful and effective methods. Initially, yoga was thought to be a practice uniquely characteristic of India. However, in China, Japan, and other cultures, forms of meditation, dhyana, also existed with different techniques. Ancient wisdom suggested that meditation was a method to unite the body and mind with a singular focus and clear purpose. Yoga is one of the initial exercises for training in meditation. Yoga is described in the epic Bhagavad Gita, which recounts the famous dialogue between the god Krishna and Prince Arjuna. Krishna enumerates various methods for training the body, mind, and emotions to focus on a common goal. Arjuna faces a difficult choice as he stands on the battlefield, where he must choose which side to fight for, even though both sides include his family members. This is an uncomfortable situation. After meeting with Krishna, the battle in front of Arjuna took on a different meaning. It became an act of morality, discipline, and responsibility. The Bhagavad Gita provided methods for concentrating the mind in order to deal with life's challenges in the best possible way, even during the most difficult moments. So what is the meaning of yoga? According to the Webster Dictionary, yoga means the method of bridling the horse, representing the body, and connecting it to the chariot, representing individual consciousness, and then bridling the horse of individual consciousness to connect it to the chariot of universal consciousness. Yoga focuses on concentrating the mind, leading to a state of absorption, samadhi, and erasing the limits of the human condition, with the goal of freeing individual consciousness to realize the greater consciousness of the universe. With a concentrated mind, the practitioner links their consciousness to any object of meditation. Using the concentrated power of a disciplined inner mind, the practitioner bridles their individual consciousness to connect it with the chariot of the universal consciousness, or true nature. Tibetan Buddhism uses consciousness combined with logical reasoning to focus the mind. In this process, ignorance is seen as incorrect perception, and in order to achieve clear perception, the practitioner uses single-pointed awareness. The practice of yoga is like the reins used to control and make the mind one-pointed. This method of meditation allows the practitioner to connect with the ultimate reality, absolute truth, or dharmakaya. Buddhist yoga differs from Indian yoga in some terms and methods, but they share essential similarities. The goal of Indian yoga is to merge the individual spiritual essence with the universal spirit, uniting the individual with the entire cosmos. In Buddhism, the unification of individual consciousness with the ocean of the Dharma is referred to as entering Nirvana, realizing and following the light of wisdom. Tibetan Buddhism uses philosophical insights from the Yogacara school as the foundation for yoga practice. The preliminary yoga practices help cleanse the mind of diluted thoughts, preparing it for the revelation of the true essence. This true essence, like a mirror reflecting all phenomena, reveals itself to be an integral part of the perfect Dharmakaya. Through meditation and yogic practice, Tibetan practitioners can experience this essence and thereby merge with Nirvana. What is Tantra? To this day, no one knows the exact origins of Tantra. Tantric practices appeared very early, and some forms of these practices have been present in many ancient cultures that have only recently been discovered. The term Tantra refers to continuity and interweaving, but no single definition has been universally established. Tantra includes many sets of practices, often aimed at actions that unite body and mind. All spiritual practices developed in India were used by the Brahmanical religion until around the 7th century, when tantric practices began to merge with Buddhism, a religion that had been developing in India for over 1,000 years with a vast monastic system and monumental statues. At that time, some practitioners of Buddhism felt that certain followers had strayed too far from the original, pure spiritual light that the Buddha had intended. Tantric practices also proposed methods for achieving enlightenment in this very lifetime. Previously, Indian Buddhist traditions believed that one had to go through an immense amount of time, countless lifetimes, before reaching full enlightenment. However, according to Mahayana Buddhism, it is possible to attain full enlightenment in this very lifetime and within this body. Tantra carefully presents a method that directs human behavior toward enlightenment. Through tantric practices, practitioners can cleanse their egos and expand their consciousness to embrace reality. In the Tantric path, practitioners typically seek a guru, spiritual master, to guide them, helping them avoid obstacles and stay focused on the path to enlightenment. There are two forms of Tantra, left hand and right hand. In Tibetan Buddhism, Tantra goes by several different names, such as indestructible vehicle and Vajra vehicle, though all Tantric vehicles are collectively known as Vajrayana. Just like a vehicle or train that transports us to a designated destination, Tantric practices similarly and swiftly guide practitioners on the path to enlightenment. Vajra, diamond, is known as the hardest material, representing purity, clarity, strength, and unbreakability. Vajrayana, the diamond vehicle, encompasses these qualities of a diamond, combining practice and wisdom into an indestructible and perfect unity. The bodies and consciousness of practitioners who follow these methods are elevated. Successful practitioners become Vajra beings, indestructible beings. Vajrayana is for those with great compassion and strong will, people who wish to save others and are determined to quickly attain enlightenment. It requires unwavering effort to develop spiritual power and endure the hardships of following the Tantric path. So, what happens when yoga and Tantric practices merge in Tibetan Buddhism? Yoga combines with Tantra to reveal the treasure of enlightenment. Tantric practices are like maps that guide the body and mind of the practitioner toward nirvana. The concentration of yoga acts as an inner light that clarifies the map. With the stillness and mastery achieved through yoga, the practitioner carries out the tantric rituals, practices that turn physical experiences into experiences imbued with enlightenment. When practitioners use their willpower and concentration in conjunction with tantric practices, they are considered to have mastered life and death. Tibetan Buddhism also accepts action yoga and encourages practitioners to use all of their sensory experiences to awaken different aspects of enlightenment within their own mind. Practitioners who know how to use their senses and emotions can transform them into windows that open up to a higher realm of consciousness. Meanwhile, symbols in Tantra help stimulate intuitive understanding, allowing practitioners to experience nirvana. This consciousness, this body, and this world are all paths that lead to nirvana. There is nothing else beyond this. The transcendent essence of the Dharma is living and working, making a living while simultaneously moving toward enlightenment. Any practitioner who works sincerely and maintains a mature attitude will see their spiritual life become clear. All opposing forces, if any, will dissolve into a unified whole between the individual and the universe. In the daily struggles of earning a living, whether our work holds great meaning or is simply a way to make a living, all of our sweat and tears in life and in our jobs are transformed into spiritual practice. Everything becomes material that we can use to nurture our awareness. Our mindful actions become steps on the spiritual path. Our aspirations and sincere focus on enlightenment will make even the ordinary shine with transcendent colors, turning life into something multifaceted and harmonized. The realm of nirvana will gradually unfold. Tantric practices do not contradict the use of analytical reasoning to learn and experience. Through intense concentration gained from practicing the Tantric path, practitioners break down the world and recognize that it is merely a construct of concepts. Therefore, advanced practitioners can free their minds from the grasp of these concepts, realizing boundless benefits. The ultimate goal of Tantric practices is to attain enlightenment by living fully with our physical, emotional, and spiritual energies. It begins with the power of mindfulness and concentration at the coarse levels of consciousness, progressing to stable and natural mindfulness at the subtle levels of consciousness. The practitioner's power grows step by step alongside the refinement of consciousness. Eventually, the practitioner develops extraordinary powers, overcoming the limitations of time and space, defeating gravity, and mastering death.